ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the Town of Cedar Lake Plan Commission work session for June 5th, 2024, order. Please stand for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Hunley?
Here.
Ms. Betzauer is absent. Mr. Wilkeny?
Here.
Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
Present.
Mr. Kubiak?
Here.
Ms. Heidick is present.
Okay. All right, old business. Number one, Bank Shot Bar and Grill preliminary plat. Owner Joe Lopez, 3205 Glenwood Dyer Road, Linwood, Illinois, 60413.
This one's not ready, John.
I have to read.
Okay, I'm just,
Sorry. I know that already.
okay,
All right.
just making sure.
Yeah, 60411, petitioner Adam McAlpine, 2398 East 400 North Valparaiso, Indiana, 46383, vicinity of 8120 Lakeshore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. I know he called and said he wasn't ready. Greg, do you know more to it why he's not, or?
Don just got the final engineering from,
Yeah, we got the final submittal package
Last
week, end of last week. So we haven't gotten into it yet.
Okay.
So you haven't had time to review it?
No, sir.
well, there was no sense in having them here tonight,
Oh, exactly.
so.
I agree. It's just-
Will they be back in next month then, for the work session?
That'd be the plan. I don't think the plan has changed much since the last one you saw. I glanced at it this afternoon. I also wanted to I sent it to police and fire as well.
Well, yeah, I think they need to be here next month at the plant, work session, so we can figure out what's going on.
They'll have to be.
Yeah. That'll be the July work session. Okay. Number two, Schilling Development preliminary plat. Owner Cedar Lake, 133 LLC, P.O. Box 677, St. John, Indiana, 46373. Petitioner Schilling Development, P.O. Box 677, St. John, Indiana, 46373. Vicinity 5604 West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for Lakeside South Unit. I thought they didn't have enough, that it wasn't ready.
That is correct. We're requesting a deferral for the next month's meeting.
Okay. Well, I was under the impression it wasn't even gonna get on the agenda.
Well, it's been on your agenda, because we did start the primary plat hearings, I believe it was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. And there were some outstanding issues, and those things are still in progress. And so we're continuing to have the conversation, so
Yeah.
we show up and.
Tell your name and address out there, please.
Yeah.
I know it, but give me your name and address.
Gotcha. Oh, Jack Hall.
Not mine,
With
yours.
DEG, with, representing this petition, sorry.
All right, fine, if you're not ready, then, we can't take any action, you
Right.
just have to
Do
be
you-
here
do you
at
need-
next month's work session.
Yeah, so you don't need me here, or the petitioner here for the, public hearing in 2 weeks, because we're requesting a deferral.
At this,
Is that fair? So we'll just, I don't want to not be here.
Your request is a deferral to the next work session?
Correct.
Okay.
yeah. Okay, and this is a work session, so we can't take any action, but other than to state that, you'll be on the July work session agenda.
Correct, that's what we'd like to be on.
Okay.
So then we need to have it on the public meeting and make a motion to defer it?
I don't know, that's Dave.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes?
I got a question before you do. Should we be talking about this King Street thing now?
You can.
Should we?
Sure, it's, unrelated, but we can.
Well, I got a request from
Yeah.
Jack today, and while we're talking about, this is the only shilling item that's on tonight, right?
Correct.
So this is probably the only
Yes,
time
it's there, that's true.
we're gonna present it. They're requesting getting King Street open to help them with something that they need. I don't want to, hold them up from doing whatever they need while they got weather and all that business, so whatever we can do to give them some kind of avenue, if it's possible.
And like I said, I know that Armani is going through their punch list to turn over the maintenance now, so I believe, I mean, if they done.
They can do it anytime they want. This is on the northern development.
Correct.
Schilling's want a second egress point to Beacon West. But this is Armani's. They have like a 6-foot gap where they haven't finished King Street to their property line. I think even Olthoff and Schilling they've even offered to build it for them. And Armani's saying no. It's still in performance. Technically those streets are not the town's yet.
Right. That's the issue, is that the town has a statute that says that in order to final pay, we have to have 80% of your lots built on.
Yeah.
He's requested several times to have that waived so that he could final pay King Street and then turn it over to the town, and he would finish the road at that point in time. But that request has been waived, or not granted, and so since he is maintaining
Is it your
ownership of the
recommendation
road.
that we can?
That is no longer the case any longer.
Oh, it's not?
With our punch list that went out in January, we're fully allowing him to surface
So,
pave,
as part of
but he has significant binder repairs to do before he surfaces. So it's still on him to get to that point where he can finish the road. He could finish the road today if he wanted
Yeah,
to,
so
up to
that-
binder.
That was the reason why he hasn't done anything previously. Now that he has the punch list, he is able to proceed and complete that work, and also put the final surface coat on.
I don't know if he's done anything since he's received that punch list.
But that's the intent now, is that he will be able to do all of that work.
Who's having dialogue with him? Is it Tim, Jeff, Dave, who's?
I mean, we've done, and we both had dialogue, because he was wanting to pull out of performance and go to maintenance, but he wasn't quite at the 80%, but as of January, we felt he still wasn't.
Close. He's still not quite there yet, but when he initially asked, he wasn't even close.
Right, but as of January, we gave him the okay, we inspected everything and gave him the okay to move along with getting it done so we can turn it over to the town. Because how many phases was it? Three
Two and a half,
phases,
really.
and if you average it all together, he's right at the 80%. I mean, it's close enough there where we were kind of trying to help the whole situation out by letting that happen so the road can get done. You know, so we gave him the.
Can you and Don see if you can get some goodwill going with him?
Yeah, see what like I said, we gave him the punch list and they haven't been.
As long as he's keeping his performance letter credits active, we can't force him to pay.
Right.
I mean, unless there's some legal ramifications that I'm missing, we can't force him to do it. It's still his road.
We can touch base and see what he's thinking, or whatever, right? He's got to be, I mean, this year he didn't have any snow plowing, so I don't think he was that's a big burden on the developer for the season, but, obviously it didn't snow this year, so.
And I think he reasonably has a concern of the traffic that will be increased on that road once it's finished, due to development to the south. And now I'm not speaking for Schilling, would be speaking for Tim. And I'm not speaking, I'm just observing. he's under a 3-year maintenance bond. So any damage that's done to that road is largely gonna be done by the construction traffic to the road to the south, and he'll be responsible for that. So why would he wanna open that road up? If the town is gonna hold him responsible for the maintenance of that road for 3 years after concrete trucks and fully loaded stone trucks and all that stuff that is for another subdivision use his road. And they're gonna use it a lot because it's much more convenient.
And we told Schilling, we have a similar concern, and the Schilling says they post no construction traffic stuff, but that's virtually
Yeah, it's not gonna
impossible
stop
to enforce, especially with examples, Ozinga's just to the west, they're not gonna wanna go all the way around.
Yeah, I mean,
How is the punch list on the other Beacon Point properties? Are they taking care of them, or are they still?
We don't have a problem with Schilling.
Well, they got that one,
Completing their-
one in, the Beacon Point South about that swamp behind there.
Oh, yeah.
Beacon Point East,
East, yeah, the swamp behind there, that hasn't been taken care of yet.
That
or-
was another question that was asked, and I was hoping that Jack was gonna be here to weigh in on that part. You probably don't know.
Beacon East Pond, I think is what they're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don, have you ever heard any, more from them about that?
I've been told the plan is under revision right now, and I will see something when I see something, but up to this date, I haven't seen any revision. That's all I got.
We're gonna need to follow up with that too, if you would.
Well, that's the follow-up, I have asked. If you want any more information, the man's right there.
it's in works.
Okay. It's in the works, they're working on, actively working on getting it resolved.
We wanna know something.
We need to know something, it'd be nice.
Yeah, you'll be seeing some formal action.
Same thing with the street, we'd like to have some movement on that if it's possible.
Yeah, we've asked him a couple times, we actually agreed to doing the inspection and letting him move on to surface for this reason, just to kind of let everything get connected together, and like he said, he's had the list since January, so we can touch base with him and see what he's thinking, I guess.
Well, his concern is legitimate.
Right, exactly, it is a legitimate.
I don't think we should be discussing this too much anymore, because there's nothing to the public about remonstrators or anything else. We're getting information, remonstrators aren't getting any information or anything like that.
It's a work session.
Yeah, it's a work session, so we're just having a discussion with staff, I don't think we're violating anything.
Okay.
Actually, that's what work sessions are for.
Yeah, we'll touch base and see what he says.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, Jack, sorry.
Okay, now, in reference,
For Lakeside.
in reference to, the preliminary plat, they need to show up, be on the agenda and show up for, the public hearing, so we can defer that?
The
public
hearing, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So, we can be here in 2 weeks, that's fine.
Yeah, and then request a deferral and then-
That's fine, if you want to do it that way. So that's what we'll do.
Part of Davis, so yeah,
We'll do that.
that's what we'll do, okay? All right, nothing else?
Next work session,
All right.
Thank you. Number 3, Newenhouse, preliminary plat, owner Melissa Newenhouse, 14829 Reeder Road, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307, petitioner Michael Newenhouse, 14829 Reeder Road, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307, vicinity of 14829 Reeder Road, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Name and address, please.
Mike Newenhouse, 14829 Reeder Road.
And where are we at in this?
Everything, certified letters were all submitted yesterday except for one. I have it. It was mailed this morning. I'll bring that tomorrow. And then it was ran in the paper, which is what I was told I needed for this meeting here.
But you haven't seen any letters?
No, we did completed review. We submitted a review letter on the 28th of May, and I believe that got forwarded to the petitioner. Do you see it?
Possibly.
Okay. We made a note in our email that we didn't have the petitioner's email, so I hope it got out. So I don't keep checking that, Cheryl.
Yes.
The comments were relatively minor, you know, pretty similar to other one-lot subs we've done. So we really don't see any issues moving forward in 2 weeks.
Any other questions on this?
Must be good.
No snags?
No, it's a little unique that it's on a regulated drain, so we want to see some of those easements on there, but everything else is pretty straightforward. 2 of the 3 lots are already part of a platted subdivision, he's adding a third to it, so a lot of the right-of-way is already dedicated, pretty easy.
Okay, so we be back in 2 weeks, we'll
That'll work.
discuss it and go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4, request for address change on 142nd Avenue by Paul Mish. Owner Paul Mish, petitioner Paul Mish. Petitioner is requesting an address change to be assigned and voted in by the board. Hi.
Good evening, I'm Paul Minch. I have a handout, I didn't know what was available.
Address, please.
That's...
Your address?
Pardon?
You need to give your address.
I have to what?
Your address.
Oh, I live at 14201 Soper Street, Cedar Lake.
Thank you. Okay, you
I
may
have a
proceed now.
handout that might make this more clear. I have one for all of you. Thank you. Too much yard work, I got beat up hands. Thank you. So I acquired this property, which consists of 4 25-foot wide lots on 142nd Avenue, as depicted in the drawing over here on the right. As you can see, my problem is I don't have a legal address, so I can't do anything with it. I can't permit it, I can't... The county perceives it as, it has an even number address on 142nd Avenue, so I need an address. Unfortunately, the property on both the top and the bottom, the property immediately to the east below it at 9023, the property immediately adjacent to it to the west is 9025, so there are no odd numbers available. I intend to make it one lot. It's 425, 80 foot's the, I believe, proper zoning requirement, so I'm okay with that. So I need an address. And I live here some of the year. I live in Florida some of the year. I've built condos, I've built many different things over a career. And typically, what I have over here in the green is regularly I see, the easiest way might be just to call it 9023 and let the current gentleman be Unit 1, and I would become Unit 2. And that's a suggestion, but I'm open to whatever you all want to do. I just want a legal address.
Dave, how many times have you seen this before?
This?
Yeah. That was a lot.
Not often.
What's your opinion, Tim?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess like the A and the B, I guess regardless if you change 9023 to Unit 1 or A or whatever, you're making a change to somebody's address. If you go to the 9025 and then you look at the next person to the west, you're at 9111. So, to me...
Yeah, all those numbers are the correct sequence. That's what's on the houses there.
To me, it seems the most sense would be to, if we're gonna change somebody's address, the 9025 should bump up to, 9051 and then create the spaces for the other property, I guess.
You said 9051?
Or 90, whatever.
9015?
I'm just saying 90 something over 25, I guess.
It has to be over.
Seems like you wanna leave at least 2
25.
spots there for the 50 foot, but I was just saying, throwing a number out there, just something higher up. I mean, if you change 9023 to 9023, unit 1, you're changing it, so. at the end of the day-
9023 should be 21, be 9021, right?
Well, but
That's a rational, logical thought, but he's already there, so what do you do?
Right.
So if we say okay to this, Dave, how does the person at 9023 get notified that their address is being changed?
Well, there is a way, and Mr. Mish just told us he's going to make this one lot. So there'll be a replat, 3-to-1. In the replat, you'll include the street number. It'll be identified
Okay,
within the body there.
is anybody living at 9023?
Yeah, somebody lives in 9025, 9023, 9019, 9015, people are in all those houses.
Wouldn't you have to include
My lots
those
are
other
empty,
lots?
there's no building there at all.
Wouldn't you have to include the other lots in the subdivision then?
Pardon?
You might have to include the other lots, either 9023 or 9025, if you're gonna change the address.
They could be
Your
replatted
question
and
is, I'm sorry?
I'm saying if there's an address, you have to somehow, if you change one of your neighbors, the best way to do it would be included in that subdivision.
It would, or
That's why, I made the suggestion of, if you left them 9023, and we referred to them for postal purposes to be Unit 1.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't know how.
Why couldn't you be 9021?
I'm prepared to be 9021 if you want to make
It
that.
would be out of order.
Well, they're already out of order.
I understand that, but let's not add to the issue.
Make it worse.
they just can't be duplicative.
Yeah.
If it's out of order, that's one thing, but
I built a house in 1995 that was assigned the wrong street number, and to this day, it has the wrong street number. Once that happens, it like pretty much exists in perpetuity.
but what's the problem with that?
It's confusing.
Is it? If it's confusing, then something's gotta be done with it, but if it's not confusing, it's a ministerial act.
9021 would avoid changing anybody's addresses. If I lived in 9023 and somebody came and said, hey, you're getting your address changed, and I'd lived there for how many years, I'd be like, what do you mean you changed my address?
Right.
Well, it changes stuff on their deed too. The deed has an address on it.
Yeah,
So,
it's a
I don't think
complicated,
you can do
it's a
that.
mess.
Who decides the number, Russ?
You do, and probably in conjunction with, the Postal
Postmaster.
Service.
Well, to me, it's out of order. It goes 15, 19, 23, 25, 11,
It is out of order.
111.
and then 15 again. Oh, it's 91, 15. So
They're in order.
to me, you go 19, 23, 21, 25, let's go home.
And only those three are out of order. Or those two are out of order. Yeah. If everything else is occupied, then,
Yeah, the other ones are 91, 11, 91, these are 90.
The highlighter drawing doesn't show it out
I
of
would
order.
want to change 25.
the what?
The highlighter exhibit doesn't actually, I think it's different on the computer than it is on this piece of paper.
Make it 21, out of order, one place out of order, the other one out of order.
Yes.
Didn't hear you, Don.
Can you legally do something out of order?
Why not? It doesn't say what order you establish.
Well, if you're doing it in conjunction with the postmaster, I'm betting she'll have a problem with that.
Then that's logical that you have that
So the
communication with postal.
So the west pair are 9102. According to the GIS here, right?
You've gotta look at the GIS.
Well, I'm
You're
looking
looking
at,
at site address right now. You're gonna look at north address. That's a whole different gambit if you look at site address.
okay, I'm looking at this picture in the packet, and it doesn't show 4 lots, it only shows 2. Oh, no, it's all 4, but it's encompassed in orange. And right now it's showing 9102.
Did we,
And that's it.
did Ashley ever pull the plat, the original recorded plat on this? I'd be curious if there's addressing on that.
I've never seen it, she didn't run it to me.
There's a recorded plat for your
The
subdivision?
recorded plat, I believe you're looking at it up there.
No, no,
That's no
no.
problem, it uses an even number, 9102, and that would be on the other side of the street. There's nothing there either.
That's
Well,
what's in the picture in the
We need to
back.
have an odd number.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to reflect the recorded plat, it doesn't always reflect it. I would like to see the actual recorded document to make sure we're actually looking at what's what.
All I can tell you is that's,
Yeah. And it's most likely a document from the 50s or 60s, I'm willing to bet that. And a lot of those don't have addressing on them, but I think it's worth a look. Just to verify if we're dealing with the correct information and probably contact the postmaster in the meantime and get their thoughts on it.
Mr. Mish, you've not pulled the recorded plat at all for this?
I can tell you, I've got all the title work, and this went through a tax lien. So all the title work and the quiet title has all been done, and I have title work on those property lines that are defined right there. So I know that there's no encroachments or issues of that nature.
And I'm not saying that, I'm just wondering what the recorded plat says for an address.
I would tell you, the plat is what you're seeing right there, and it's how it all started. It's referred to as an address with an even number, which is on the other side of the street.
9102.
On the south side of the street, they're all odd numbers. As you can see, they're all odd numbers, so it's just there's no odd number in the sequence. And for these lots, and I happen to have the biggest piece on Hall Street.
Well, we're not voting on this tonight anyway, we gotta discuss it in 2 weeks, right? So, why don't you
We can pull it.
why don't you see what you need to see? I mean, if everybody agrees on a number, 9021, then Don needs to check off, Dave needs to check off.
Well, they can stick that somewhere else.
Yeah,
Does Mr. Mish need to submit this to the Postal Service?
No, and in fact, staff did contact Postal Service on hold on my recommendation, and were referred back to the town.
So they're waiting to hear from us.
They're
And
not
that-
waiting, they're not waiting on anything.
That's how
There's
mine
nothing to give them yet.
got messed up.
But they will accept what we tell them?
They will, you have jurisdiction, statutorily at least.
Is there a 9021 anywhere on that street?
I don't see one.
Okay.
No, I mean, my guess is somehow over the years, these two parcels were somehow part of 25 and 23, and they got split off at some point.
And pay the taxes on them.
Yeah, so, that would be my guess.
They were part of each half.
They're part of each neighbor.
Yeah.
I said, my guess is they were most likely part of ownership of each neighbor.
They were owned by the person at 9023.
Okay. So, yeah, either way, they were always part of that, it got split off. Magically, there's no actual address, 'cause there's no home on it, and now we're stuck here.
Well, I'm good with 9021, as long as that works out.
I am too.
You're,
As long as it's legal, I don't
yeah,
care.
if you're good with it, you and Dave are good with it.
I mean, I'll double check the plat, I don't think I'm gonna find anything, but I'll double check it.
Okay.
And we'll touch base in 2 weeks.
And then you can make a recommendation if there's something different.
Well,
Yeah?
this research is gonna take a couple weeks, so you won't be ready for a public hearing, public notice of hearing in 2 weeks. That was part of the memo that should be in your packet from Ashley, I read it.
Well, we're moving forward.
So it won't be ready in 2 weeks?
It will not.
How soon do you need this, Mr. Mish?
Well, I was hoping to get it last month. I came home from Florida early for the meeting last month, but how soon? The sooner the
Yesterday.
better. Time is money.
Have you talked to the neighbor at 90?
No, I have not
23?
talked to either of the neighbors.
I mean, they.
But I really kind of suspect the neighbors aren't gonna be, they're excited about what I'm doing.
Yeah, they wouldn't be upset about being.
Usually when you pay their taxes because they haven't paid them, they're not real happy to see me show up, so. But I paid them, went through the legal procedure to get clear title and get all the liens satisfied, et cetera, so.
Well, there's a little more discovery needs to be done, I guess, and until that's done, we don't need Mr. Mish back here.
Next work session, I'd say, early.
Next work session, another month?
Yeah.
July
Yes.
3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Mish.
Thank you.
Okay, update items. Cedar Lake Storage Phase 2 update. Wow, there's a stranger.
Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Nathan? Good, thank you.
Good to see everyone. Would you like an update?
Yes.
All right, Nathan Viss, 12632 Wicker Avenue, here on behalf of Cedar Lake Storage. I don't know if everybody on the commission received it, but on May 22, we forwarded an overview and a packet. Did you receive that per chance? I just don't want to be redundant.
It's in the packet.
Okay, to the packet. So basically what we have here, as of April, we were under contract for both excavation as well as the asphalt services. We are trying to get on the schedules that we can get this done. We've also were informed about a week and a half ago that they're out a couple of weeks for the infrastructure, for the drainage that's supposed to go in. We're tentatively scheduled for the end of this month for asphalt. Whether or not that happens with the rain and things playing into account, we do not know. One thing I did want to reference as well is that I've seen on a couple of agendas that their line of credit runs as of July 1. That's incorrect. The town should have information that reflects that their line of credit is good through October 31, 2024. So that assurance goes out several months. So
There's two letter of credit, Nathan. There's a public and a private letter of credit,
okay,
which have two different dates, and I'm pretty confident one's July 1st. I don't know which one.
I've got the one that was updated last year, Don. I've got a copy here reflects October 31, 2024. That was the required updated one that the town wanted last October when we had the extension created.
That's the 242 one?
No, 133.
242, correct.
Then there's a second one
Yeah,
that's...
for 133.
No. There should be a big one and a small one.
Yep.
The big one's the private, the small one's the public.
Which one's phase 2?
Phase 2 is the private. The public is for the frontage improvements, for the sidewalks, and for the small ramp and asphalt area. Which I think it's under 10 grand, I think it's 7,000 something.
That's the public one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think
I
it's
just got
substantially lower.
Yeah, I got the big ones, the ones that we're worried about for the asphalt and everything.
Okay.
That's what I asked them to provide to me, and they verified here it's October 31. So,
Well, I think the public one might be the July one then. That would need to extend as well.
okay. Yeah, candidly, my concern was the big one that we met with last fall, so, yep.
That one's good till October.
October 31, correct,
Right.
yep.
And so then we need to get the smaller one extended one dated July 1st.
Correct, if we
Is
could
that what we're
push,
saying, Don?
Yeah, I mean, I believe there's two outstanding letter credits, and I believe one is July.
What's this sheet where this is People's Bank? And
This
it
is-
says October 20th, 2021.
that's
There's
the
a
initiation
whole,
date.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
the initiation date, yes.
there's a lot of stuff that probably doesn't need to be in here. I don't know, a lot of paperwork.
That's a lot.
I think it's old and new letter of credit.
Correct, yeah, they amended it, I think they reduced it, and then
Yeah,
they
because
updated
there's
it
a
again.
2021 in here, which I think was amended to be 2022. I don't know, it's a lot of overlap.
There is, I believe it's the original Don, and then it's been amended, it's been reduced, and it was amended again last fall,
Yeah.
based upon your request for there to be a surety, so.
Okay.
So it sounds, if I'm hearing you right, we had, requested it to be done by, June 15th, and that's probably not gonna happen?
That is not feasible. I know I've talked to Mr. Kubiak on this. We've had, I think, was it 6 or 8 more inches of rain than normal, and that's put us behind, so the excavators haven't been able to get out there and run all the trenching for the significant amount of drainage that's going in. So we've been under contract with Site Services, we're under contract with the excavators, it's just a matter of...
And they've removed concrete and stuff?
So that has been done. The back left side, there was a bunch of old pillaring and old forms that were back there. That's been able to be removed. Yep.
So we're probably going to have to extend their completion date then at the public meeting.
Nathan, can you clarify what drainage improvements they're talking about? There's no remaining drainage improvements, it's all sheet flowing.
They've got some off of a couple of the buildings, installation of some draping tile, is what I've been told.
They need to resubmit a plan then, because there's no pipe in that site.
I haven't studied the plan, I'm just going off what I've been told and what they've been told.
I mean, it was all sheet flow conveyed, which is, you know, the pavement. So I don't know what the holdup is as far as drainage is.
The sheet flow is supposed to go into the pond to the south, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
And
but
then
it's
metered out.
pavement driven. There's no underground infrastructure that was part of their plan, so I'm confused.
I'll get in contact with you. This is just the bids that I've been getting that they've been working on. I've been told it's been part of the plat. I wasn't a part of the original design.
Yeah.
I could certainly connect them with you, Don, to verify.
I mean, I know we've had rain, but I'm a little confused that a contract that was signed in March, they can't get it done by June.
You know, I hate to start this out with in the beginning. This has come a long way.
This is their second extension from the original agreement. I'm just letting you know.
When this assurance was approved, I wasn't sitting here, I was sitting out there. I'd like to know, when it comes time to blacktop this,
It's time.
hang on, when the pavers show up to blacktop, how do they move the equipment, the private property that I see in this picture? Okay, we got a big Ford camper, other things. Does the owner have permission to move their stuff just whenever they want? I mean, how do the owners of this stuff, how does this stuff get out of the way?
That, I don't know. I mean, we're not dealing with hundreds and hundreds, right? It's about 15 or 20, and the plan
Well,
that I've been told is phases, one half, then the other half, so they can swap it back and forth.
Well, I understand, I just see I see a logistics kind of messy here.
Sure, that's part of the business.
Yeah, and if there's nothing in the contract, if Mr. Parker's got a camper here, and somebody hooks onto it and moves it, if they even can, they're liable for that.
And that's on them, that's on the town.
Well, I understand that, but if the town ends up having to blacktop this, if they can't move the stuff on their property, how do we move the stuff on their property?
We put enough in there that if we had to hire a tow.
You don't have permission to move somebody else's camper on private property.
Authority in that situation to move that stuff.
I think Jerry's talking about legal standing or legal right.
Do I think Mr. Kubiak could do it without breaking anything? Absolutely. It's not right. For example.
You might find language and the property owner might have contract language in their rental agreements with folks.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking you, if you know of anything or could provide us anything.
And I think Mr. Rosen's a good question. I would liken it to no different than any other situation where if the town perchance would need to pull on a line of credit and someone does have infrastructure still laying out there, right? I mean, the town candidly has the authority to, quote, finish the job. That involves moving whatever is gonna be there. I'm not worried and concerned that we're gonna be getting to that point.
I'm not either. I just saw that as being a huge mess, if there's nothing in the agreement that says such a thing.
Sure.
The extension, do I think they're gonna finish it? I do.
Yep.
Don's concerns about pipe in the ground is certainly new to hear, but, I'd like some clarification on that, if you could provide that for
I
us.
can follow up with you.
That'd be
at the
great,
next meeting.
that'd be great.
Yep.
I have nothing else.
Why are they requesting an extension to September when the site services letter says they'll be out there on June 24th?
So that was my recommendation, just so that I don't have to come back in case we keep having monsoons to come back, number one. Number two is while site services says that date, it's a matter of whether or not the excavators can get out there on or before that date to level off that back area that's gravel and clay, dig down, put aggregate down, compact it before the 24th. That's what we're up against. Just had another inch of rain last night. I mean, the reality is that we start operating with, if that wet back there, guess it's gonna be tracked onto public roadways. We're trying to be conscientious.
I know, but it needs to get done because that is sheet flowing into your detention basin, into the lake. So I understand there is a rain element this spring, but like I said, this would be your second extension request.
Understood, and I think the sheet flowing, as you're well aware, is that it sheets across gravel, then it sheets into grass, which then filters it, so.
Yeah, but if you have exposed clay and dirt out there, they ain't gonna do anything.
Right, and that's why we're trying to quickly get in there when it's dry, so that we don't have it overly exposed. Right now it is gravel, we don't have it clay exposed, so that's what we're trying to work around. I agree, it's the second extension, but we've provided everything, we've been in contact since April, to be in good communication. Asphalt plants opened up April 15, April of this year, so we're well on our way.
Tim, were you aware that any piping was being put in the ground?
No.
Can you put some eyes on that in the very near future?
Yep. I don't know if it's downspout piping or some, maybe a couple downspout pipes. It could be all it could be, because there's nothing else there that I would see warranted.
So
I
that,
mean, there would be no need for any type of a catch basin, because all that,
I guess that's
I
sure.
mean, there's no low spots to drain.
Yeah, the channel drain between the buildings.
Probably just some downspouts, probably, maybe there.
Yeah, it's channel drains between the buildings and flared end sections into the pond.
Yeah.
well, you mentioned piping in the ground for drainage. Don says there's not supposed to be any pipe in the ground.
By the pictures he said, I got a feeling they're putting a couple downspout drains in as well.
Okay, but my point is, if that's the delay, they brought this on themselves.
We just want to know if there's a change to the site plan. That's all.
Yeah, so then we can get that figured out the next couple of weeks here and be prepared to talk about it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so, okay. Any other questions you want me to be prepared for or further to get information about?
Not other than what we discussed.
Do you have any concerns, Don?
No, see where it moves.
The extension to September, I'm gonna get phone calls tonight if we extend this to September. And they're not gonna be friendly with me.
That's why I was throwing it out there, that this is their second extension, and based on what they submitted, I think that's probably a little long.
30 days?
So 30 days at this point puts you into July 15. You've got the holiday. I've been told as of last week that we've got some piping and stuff that needs to come in. It's a question of rain. I mean, it's really tight if you go 15.
When are they scheduled to start now?
June 20.
June 24 is the date that site services put them on the calendar for. It's a matter of whether or not the excavation work is done and bringing in the aggregate for underneath and it's compacted.
But I thought they had this on the schedule.
They did,
wow.
and they've been working it through, so, but again, I mean, the flow of the rain, things like that, being able to get excavators back there, they've been doing what they can to tear out some of the stuff.
If they're, sorry.
Yeah, what my client told me, again, last week when we talked on the phone, was he thinks it can be done within 45 days, he'd like to get it done within 30. I'm just trying to give us enough breathing room so that I don't have to spend more time and come back before you. I guess as far as angry phone calls, it's a bit disconcerting to me. We're working together to try to get this done. There's no favoritism.
And I don't disagree with that, but there's people that come to these meetings and watch these meetings and they expect the rules to be followed. And, it just doesn't pose for good public relations.
Well, and I perceive it as good relationships when you're working with a developer that's injecting significant monies into the town. We can't handle some of these things, they're outside our control.
I guess my concern is there's something going on there that has not been done. They They can't put pipe in the ground after the fact for downspouts or anything else, can they, Don?
Wouldn't be warranted to do it after you put pavement down, no. I mean, if they were doing it, yeah, you wanna do that first, but there's nothing in the approved site plan that would indicate that. And my debate, my throwback is that really wanted to get done, you can get it done. We've got contract going on now, we're dealing with the same rain, but we're still getting it done. So if they really wanted to get it done, they can get it done.
It says in their letter they were just installing the trench drains, so that must be that center drain,
Right, right.
so that was what they're talking about.
Yep.
And that
So
was-
it's not a pipe, it's a trench?
And I'm not an engineer, so maybe I'm using the wrong term.
Yeah, so it says, we are working diligently to complete this project. We have met in our discussion with the excavator to install the trench drains, Holland stone required for asphalt base, and to finish grade in preparation for asphalt. We are working diligently to complete this project. Please let me know if you have any questions or would like additional information. That was to Jeff and Chris Kirsten.
Does that sound right to you, Don?
I know for a fact there's no drain tiles on their approved site
Trench
plan.
drain?
No trench drain, nothing. Everything was draining overland.
I thought there was a drain in between the two buildings.
That's what this is referencing. I haven't seen any plans.
It was an inverted asphalt crown that was gonna drain the entire site.
Into that.
Into the
drainage
trench
line.
Pond in the
Yeah.
back.
Okay. I'll go back and talk to them and pull it, that predates me, so
Okay.
we'll take a look.
Have they surveyed this and laid it out for drainage and everything for when they do start?
It's got pretty good pitch on it. It's got pretty good fall from north to south.
Yeah, it's a
Don't
natural.
they still have to shoot it to make sure that they're staying with?
Yeah, when they lay it out, site services should do that, or whoever's laying the project out, but that's on them.
Right, but I'm saying, that's something that can be done while they're waiting for the ground to dry. I mean, if you want to expedite things, you know,
I
Maybe
can control
just
site
look at it now.
services, so.
you know.
Yes, but if they're adding things to the property, that's gonna complicate and delay everything.
So I'll go back and look, and I'll be in communication with Don on
Okay.
it, so we're ready in 2 weeks to have that conversation.
Right.
I didn't know, Mr. Austin, if we can take official action tonight for an extension, or if that should be at the public meeting next 2 weeks.
No official action.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right, I'll try to get the information as quickly as possible.
Maybe
What's
by
the
the
best-
public meeting, they'll have it done and we won't have to do all that.
I would love that, Mr. Parker. I really don't enjoy having these conversations. They're difficult, they're not fun,
I get it.
so. Okay.
So he's accepting you forward those phone calls. That's what I heard.
Oh, you don't look at
Opportunities for resolution, Mr. Parker. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Nathan. Number 3, Beacon Point, Unit 3, maintenance letter of credit expires July 12, 2024.
Jack Slager at Schilling told me that everything was done for that except crack sealing. So that one should be good to go to let expire on July 12th. We'll have a further update next meeting.
Okay. Beacon Point, Unit 4, performance letter of credit expires July 25th, 2024.
Beacon East, before North unit in the subdivision, the last unit. It's my understanding that we'll have a 6-month extension prior to the expiration date. I think it may already be received by the town. Not 100% sure on that though.
Okay, number 5, Beacon Point East, Unit 1, performance letter of credit expires July 30th, 2024. And this is the part with the pond, right?
This is, so we discussed that. We're just waiting on if we get it, a revised plan, and when we get it, we'll look at it and bring it to everybody's attention, but to date, I haven't seen it.
What was the old plan? Make it deeper, bring the yards out, steeper banks, stuff like that?
Well, exact opposite, make the banks less steep to make them more stable. And that would have filled in some of that ditch line, which then they would have to re-excavate to the south to kind of make up for it. It's kind of a trade-off like that. So, I don't know, I've heard it's expensive, so they're going to a Plan B, but I haven't seen Plan B.
Okay. That's gonna have to be extended then, probably.
Potentially,
July
I mean, we're
30th.
talking month and a half now.
Yeah.
Well, I think when they come in, they should have a plan for us to see, so if we have to extend it, we know what's gonna happen.
I've let them know, because I said I would also like the buy-in from the, I think, 5 affected property owners as well again. So,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
went to some pretty exhaustive measures last year to have meetings on site, to kind of get everybody's buy-in to the, you know, and if it's significantly changing, obviously we want to get their opinion again. So, that doesn't happen overnight. So,
okay. Number 6, Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, performance letter of credit expires August 22nd, 2024.
we have no new news on that, on any of the units.
How's the punch list going?
Haven't got anything new.
About how many items are still remaining?
Our last punch list was updated, I believe, in January. I mean, all 3 units, it's probably 200 plus.
Wow.
And I don't even think, I'm pretty confident Public Works hasn't even started underground inspections for units 2 or 3. Because they haven't been asked.
When can we start taking action on them?
Huh?
When can we start taking action on that?
As they keep their letter of credits active, right now they're all at full value. I mean, they can obviously be all reduced to the minimum allowable if they ask for it. In conjunction with that, that's when we start getting into the punch list more, and it's a balancing act of what you still have left to repair and how much money you're holding. But we're holding full value, which is over $10 million. Again, there's not a lot of, we can't really push them.
Who's in contact with, do you have a person that you're in contact with over there on these items?
We have contacts with some of the construction people, but their construction's done out there. I think every lot's been occupied. So they're done from a approved construction standpoint. I can reach back out to their construction manager. He's not even on site anymore. So.
How long can this go on before we pull on their letter of credit to do it?
That'd be a question for David. I don't know, as long as they keep it active, I don't know if you can.
It's a live surety.
There's no deadline, ever?
Not if you're holding their cash.
How far in the future can we apply a deadline? Or we can't at
Until
all?
they come in and request removal from the deadline
Okay, so forever.
and the return of their surety or portion thereof.
I mean, for future discussions with this, you might be able to amend your subdivision ordinance to put a timeline on punch lists and tie it to a letter of credit. I don't know if that's legal or not, but something like that, or in a PUD agreement, if it's a PUD zoning.
There's no prohibition to what you just suggested in the code.
Are they proposing another subdivision in this town anytime soon? I keep hearing that they're gonna buy something and try to propose something.
There's a lot of that going on. They could be involved.
I'm not aware of anything active.
Well, I'm throwing it out there, if they're gonna propose something or purchase some ground, of course, we got a moratorium anyway, but we're not approving any subdivisions for Lennar
Yeah.
until they're done with this, period.
We'll continue reaching out to them, see if they respond. It's been weird because we've had discussions with the actual construction people about reductions in the past, but then we get a full letter of credit renewal because that's coming out of their corporate office, which is, I think, California.
In California.
So they don't even really speak to the construction people in the field, and once it gets resubmitted at full, construction goes quiet. So, you're kind of dealing with,
It might be worthwhile for Jeff to contact whomever the highest executive we talk to in this company and request a meeting. Still there.
yep, he's their land acquisition manager.
He's still there.
He's still there.
So you're gonna contact somebody?
If directed to do so, I will make that happen. I'll need contact information where we get it from.
And your
I got-
files will have whomever Don.
I got Todd's or somebody above him number.
So Don and Jeff will work on that.
We'll get together.
Ron isn't a decision maker over $10 million.
Yeah, it's gonna be something above him.
Yeah, higher pay grades. There's a trail, Jeff, we'll find it. It exists.
Okay. All right, let's move on to, public comment.
What about item 7?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Bob. Number 7, consider moving the lighting ordinance into town code. Explain, please.
That was a Tim Kubiak recommendation to somebody in this room.
Yeah, that was a recommendation to you, or I asked the council if they would consider it, and they said yes, and I guess they.
I think you wanted more control over
Well,
the
just,
complaints you
right
get
now-
about,
Right now, it's a part of the zoning ordinance, so the police cannot enforce any of the violations. So I was trying to do something to help out with getting some of these things tackled in the evenings and night. I mean, when people are out working, that they can see, you know, I mean, just kind of looking for some way to a little better enforce the issues, I guess.
Doesn't it exist as a separate ordinance too? It used to. I know it got amended to the zoning ordinance.
Relatively recently, it was set aside.
Okay.
And I have pulled those ordinances and
What do you mean it was set aside where?
it's segregated, it's identified as a separate set of regulations incorporating what is in the subdivision ordinance.
So the police and the building department can be policing
Well,
this?
in my opinion, they can do it now, but they don't. So,
Yep. And the lighting ordinance is the same as it's been, hasn't been modified?
no changes.
No change?
Yeah, just to try to help with some, I mean, we get some complaints here and there, not very many, but, I mean, I've been to a couple places at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, going trying with a light meter, trying to look at lights, and, you know, I got police guys driving around, that could be,
Well, in some of those places, you won't be able to see the light meter because the light's too bright.
well, you are correct.
I can think of a whole list.
I can also, and this is an effort to try to, you know, pass off a little bit of that to somebody else, I guess, and to get, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that can see this and hopefully make some progress on the ones that are bad, so. Just an idea, I don't know.
Well,
It's hard to.
the more eyes, the better, but, are we gonna have to take official action in 2 weeks? Or Dave, you said it's good to go now.
Well, that depends what you want to do with it. First of all, you can't take any action tonight, so if you're going
Right,
to, it'll be
that's-
in 2 weeks. Number
But
two-
that's why I'm asking what I'm asking.
No, I get it. The ordinance is in review, and my objective was to beef up the enforcement component of it and more clearly identify enforcement proceedings.
No, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I got one person in Lindsway that has a light that they can control with their phone. When you go there to look at it, it's fine, and then you get a complaint that, you know, there's 2 Hatfield and McCoys, and they turn it up to 47,000.
Well, obviously, it's not truly Hatfield and McCoy's.
Well, true, but, I mean, yeah, but it gets to be quite cumbersome, I guess, is those little things that somebody can keep an eye on.
One of you two guys.
do you need to write some language on that, Dave, or
I'm sorry?
do you need to write some language on that?
I'm gonna give you a draft
Okay.
mandatory order.
I really think that the police, with the traffic and everything, have enough to do. Couldn't we have the code enforcement come out one night a week and, 1 or 2 nights a week and check around?
I'm going to draft it widely enough so that it can be enforced by designated personnel.
Planning Commission president.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd like to make a couple of comments.
sure.
Last couple of meetings, nerves have gotten frayed and tempers have flared, and I want to apologize for my behavior in that aspect. And I just want to say, this plan commission has a lot of responsibility. They put in a lot of effort to take a look at some of these things. I just think that we should consider having a little more patience with each other in these situations. Do what we need to do, be as professional as we can, and try to make sure that everybody gets to talk about what they have done their research on with a little patience moving forward. Everybody here is good at what they do. They've been doing this for a while. We just need to continue to be civil.
Okay. Can I ask about MS4 before I get into public comment?
You have gavel, you can ask go ahead if you want.
I'd like to know who initiates MS4 fines.
We,
Who
what do you
issues
mean by
it?
initiate?
Huh?
What do you mean by initiate? I mean, the initial recommendation comes from our firm after we do the inspection. We essentially recommend a fine to building and planning department, and then it's up to them to enforce it.
Okay, so then the town collects that money.
Correct.
And what is that money used for when it's collected?
I believe it goes in the general fund.
Okay, that's fine, I'm just curious. And if it's not collected, is there a certain time period that it has to be collected in?
That, I don't know, I think that would go under your typical enforcement matrix with the building department. If there's limitations of it, you know, extensions of the, I mean, technically, like any other fine, it's a daily fine technically. We don't do that because that's not reasonable, but I'm not aware of building department's 30, 60-day, 90-day, you know, payment timeline.
Oh, it seems like we get some requests for some developers to do this or do that, and then we look at what Heather suggested, and we're finally getting is MS4 updates. And there's some builders that have 5, 6, 7 fines out there.
Yeah, I'm not aware of
You
that.
know, so I mean, why should we go ahead and approve something for them if they still have open fines?
Do we have a not in good standing policy for things like this, Dave?
Well, a violation of MS4 equals a violation of your code. It also is a violation of your approval process. So if it's a subdivision plat or it's a PUD with a development plan within it, or a site plan within it, violation is a violation of those approvals. And those are the enforcement areas that we would look to for enforcement purposes.
So an MS4 violation, Don, that is like red tag, stop, you're done?
No, so general terms, an MS4 violation is a violation of your stormwater ordinance. That's where that kind of trigger is and will always be.
So when your firm writes that kind of stuff up, does it say you have 1 week, 10 days, 24 hours to make this right?
When I say recommend, that's all we really have authority to do is recommend a fine. We cannot enforce it. That falls onto town staff. Where obviously we work for the town, but we do not work as a town employee. So typically our language is we will recommend a fine in X dollars, and we will say we will re-inspect in 10 business days to assess, you know, if the deficiency's been either taken care of, if there's a schedule to get it done, you know, whatnot. That's how we evaluate our follow-up. And if there's a follow-up where it's not done, you escalate the fine. If you go beyond that, then there's stop work orders.
So, Tim, is there 10?
Recommendations.
Okay, so if you write something like, or any of your colleagues write something like that up, is it a Is it given a timeline? Is it given 10 days, or you have,
Most of the time it's given some time, yes.
and that's on the document?
Yes, and a lot of times just the, you know, the individual site inspections, and I mean, we go out to a pre-pour footing, you know, you need, obviously, if there's not anything, you know, we put on the tag, you need silt fence up for the next inspection. By the time you come back, normally they have it, you know, we try to, you know, construction entrance within reason. Vanessa does the full subdivision monthly, so those fines actually go to the town, to Jeff's office, and then they deal with that aspect of those, you know, the entire, still say, you know, these same items were here last month, they recommend a $1,000 fine or whatever, so, that's part of it.
So that's handled the same way that a normal red tag shed with no permit, it's handled the same way? A violation, if you build a shed with no permit, it's kind of handled the same way?
No, well, not really, it's just, I mean, the fines that went out from the town manager's office were to the actual developers and
Okay.
development, so I don't know how that, I know that they were basically Don's, you know, the letter from Christopher Burke was sent out with the fine amount, and I know a lot of those, I know they've been paying them, but I don't know the whole story.
From an MS4 perspective, the ultimate responsibility falls with the permittee, which in most cases is the developer. They are operating under the town's, what I call construction stormwater general permit. Now, the new permit allows them to potentially go after, you know, single building, like single lots, and contractors and trades and, you know, all that stuff. So how they dole out that fine, kind of down their organizational charts, up to them, but our inspections go directly to them. Well, they go to Jeff's office and the developer's copied on them.
So when it comes to fines from the building department, they're all kind of handled the same way? You give it a deadline, you get 10 days?
I mean, we've had a couple MS4 fines. Normally, our things are clean the road, put your silt fence up, and we come back and they do it, so we don't have a lot of just fining for MS4. I mean, we have a million red tags for every other reason, so,
Well, MS4 aside, is that how you handle regular violations?
yeah.
Red tags for remodels and things like that?
Red tags, yeah.
You got 10 days and,
Well, yeah, red tag, I mean, normally when we give a red tag, and then, I mean, if we have a active site that we find that doesn't have a permit, I mean, they get a stop work order, and then they get 10 days to respond to that stop work order.
I got you.
So, it's been working fairly well. There's a lot of site inspections and a lot of stop work orders out there, so.
Are you finding that the stop work orders work? Or they just come back on the weekends and work on it when?
Yeah,
that wasn't really a question.
I don't want to say it's 100%. I mean,
Okay.
they seem to be working fairly well.
Okay.
There's always the exception to the rule. I mean, I don't feel like anything is out of control by no means, but I think the ones that are, you know, they've been dealing with the situations and getting them taken care of, so.
Okay. Sorry, we
went
down the rabbit hole.
That's all right, I appreciate it, thank you. Okay, let's go to public comment. Any public comment? Name and address, please.
Nathan Viss, 12632 Wicker Avenue. 3 items. Number 1 is I did communicate with my client. He has sent to me the site plan that was approved. I think, Don, you and I, Mr. Kubiak, were all right. The sheeting is definitely across the main area that's on the back, that's to be asphalted, but the original site plan does call for 2 trench drains in between the buildings that run underneath that sheeting area into the pond. I just forwarded it on to you, and you forwarded it on to me. So I think you're right, John, the back area is all sheeted, but this deals with in between the buildings that were put up further towards the front.
Toward the north.
So, towards the north, yeah. So I just forwarded it on to you, and I believe that's the one that was approved. So I believe we were all accurate on that one. Number 2, the other item that I wanted to bring up this evening is in regards to, there was some discussion about the Summer Winds development. I've got here with me this evening Rich Kruzwick, the interim board president of the HOA. I'm privileged to represent that HOA. It is my understanding that there's some dialogue on perhaps moving this development to the maintenance bond phase. I actually just drafted a letter based upon some concerns that were brought to me today to the town. asking if we could meet with a couple of HOA representatives before we release anything. There are some drainage concerns here, unfinished capital items that need to be done, retaining walls, things of that nature. So it would be our request on behalf of the many residents that live there, the complaints that we've received, if we would have an opportunity with one or two town official representatives to showcase what these areas are, to validate or verify whether or not they need to be part of the ultimate release of any performance bond or maintenance bond.
Does that make sense, Dave?
Well, it does, it sounds like they wanna help us do our job.
Yep, absolutely. So, and I've already asked the HOA to compile that list so that we can be efficient when we do meet. Then the third item would be back to the MS4. I'm glad to see that this body is having that conversation. I've had a couple of clients in the last years that have been hit hard with MS4. The process that my clients experienced was automatically just receiving a notice from the town of a fine along with a request to repair it without first a notification that this is happening, you need to fix it. And oftentimes, if we look back over the timing of it, there'd be a rain event, someone would go out, go to the town, and within 2 or 3 days before we even had a chance to get out there and fix, say, straw bales or retaining wall that would block erosion, this was happening. So I think having conversations with our developers to say, how can we improve this dialogue process so that we're collaborating and not automatically going straight to the finding phase would be
I'm in
great.
favor of starting with some kind of a warning, because I don't think we should be generating revenue on fines.
We
And I don't
do
think-
that.
And I'm not saying that we are, but
The main reason that we recommend fines is if we have repetitive issues. And when I say repetitive, if we have a duplicate deficiency on back-to-back, that's repetitive, because they're normally 3 weeks apart, at least. We try to give you as much time. So we understand rain events cause issues. But if there's repetitive issues and we feel like we're being ignored, you're going to get fined.
Sure.
Period.
And then there's also those situations where, well, it's not gonna rain for 3 days, let's hurry up and do it. And then it rains sooner than 3 days, now you have a mess, because you rolled the dice on
Yep.
no silt fence, no worms, no erosion control. Well, I don't know.
And that's where I think perhaps getting some of the players in the room for 45 minutes saying, what have been some concerns in the process, how can we improve it, keep collaborating, working together. Don wants to have a great relationship with them, the developers want to have a great relationship, you do.
yeah, and
We had a public outreach event 2.5 weeks ago, where we invited every developer in town, every tradesman, all that. I think we had 17 people show up,
Something like that.
and a lot of the developers weren't there. So I don't want to hear,
I was unaware of that, so.
I don't want to hear it. We bend over backwards about trying to give them more time, including everybody we know on emails for inspections. And the only way you can get people's attention sometimes is to find them.
And we'll continue to do that.
Oh, I'm sure.
If it's his recommendation, that's what we're doing. So we're not gonna pile on Don.
So I get it. Like I said, I've had some client experiences that have not fit the mold of what's been described here this evening, so.
A warning on one project, and they got the warning there, and they continue on the next project to do the same thing, you know that's gonna, he's gonna get red.
I don't think there's ever been anybody fined without several warnings previous. I don't wanna say, I mean, I really don't think there is. I mean, there's been pretty lax, I think it gets to the point of the fines get pretty steep in my mind, but there definitely been a lot of grace given to, even with, the recommendations that come in for the fines. I know that, people call and come in and ask for, whatever. I mean, they try to make it better or fix it, and at the end of the day, that's what we're after, is that it's under control and that they're responding. And I mean, after every quarter-inch rainfall event, they're supposed to do their evaluation. That's what they signed up for when they got that permit. So it's a cumbersome job. It's not, and it's not selling lots and digging holes and building houses. It's checking silt fence and baskets. It's another whole other responsibility that these guys are taking on, but nobody wants to put in the effort to do it because it's just erosion control, but it's getting better and better. I mean, there's still places that, it's not, but I guess over the last 2 years, there's been a definite increase and everybody's kinda getting more and more on board with it, but it's
It
a
creates
big change
definitely
to
more
the
work for
industry.
public works, cleaning out drains and
Oh, I'm sure.
catch basins and, I mean,
It's a lot.
there's a lot going on with that.
No, I understand, absolutely.
Not to mention what happens to the lake.
And then we have those situations where somebody comes in, they want a permit to do some remodeling, and the scope of work is this big, and there's 3 dumpsters full of stuff in the driveway over a month period, because they want to keep the fee small for,
I understand.
you know.
I understand.
Those situations, I'm not sure how much warning they get.
No, I just talked about the MS4 stuff.
Okay,
so-
just MS4.
Yeah, those are my 3 public comments, so
Okay.
thanks, we'll see you in
Thanks,
2 weeks.
Nathan.
I'll send a copy of the plan to the plan commission, so you all have it before then, so, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Richard Elapani. I live at 14045 Theodore Street. And I'd like to comment on number 5 here, the update item, Beacon Point East Unit 1. This has to do with that culvert, swamp, I call it. It's behind my house, as a few people back here we're all together. What was said regarding this is consistent with what Jack Slager told me about 2 weeks ago, having to do with the redesign of what was supposedly approved. And the fact that supposedly this is all going to be done by the end of July, which coincides with this letter of credit for $300-something thousand from what I understand. Well, my question is, or my concern is, number one, this has been going on since last fall. Okay, it was supposed to be done in the fall, then it was supposed to be done in the spring. Now we're hitting summertime, and now we've got a new design. That are we going to get to see it, us homeowners? It's going to be our backyard.
That's my intent, I said it earlier.
Yeah, you did say that.
It should show up here.
I'm sorry?
It should show up here, right, Don?
If you so choose to put it on
Now,
your agenda.
is it going to come from?
I think it's easier for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, wherever, just give me a call, but
Yeah,
I mean.
their engineer's doing it, so DVG, Jack Holes, who said earlier, he'd be doing any revisions to whatever the plan.
Now, the original plan, I thought was done by you guys.
No, it was done by DVG, we reviewed it
Oh, is
on
that right?
behalf of the town, yeah.
Okay.
So Jack was actually at those site meetings along with Jack Slager, back in the fall.
I mean, not that we have any.
And I was out there also.
Yeah.
Rich was out there that
Yeah,
day.
you were out there.
Rich was out there, I think Terry was out there.
Yep.
So I guess I can't do anything to push Schilling, but I just want to make sure that this July 30th, if it's not done by July 30th, nothing's going to be given back to them, right?
That's correct.
That's a fact.
That's plenty of assurance.
That's all I'm after.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if it goes on all summer and into the fall, okay, so be it. Can't do nothing about it, but at least that money's sitting there and it can be used for it somewhere along the way.
They'll need an extension.
Yeah, or you pull.
Okay, but it won't be automatically, or?
No, there's quite a few checks and balances involved in that.
There is. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Parker, 727 West 136th Court. When Paul Mish was up here, you had discussions about changing the address, and there was the sequential numbering, and you were picking another number. Well, we have a situation on our subdivision right out here, and we have 3 homes, and as you go towards the lake on 136th Court, you have 7425. This is all on the same side, on the south side of 136th Court. 7425, the next house should be 7427, the next one is 7429. The one in the middle, however, has an address of 7417. So it doesn't follow the sequence, and we have that situation, so I wouldn't think that would be a problem and they're all old subdivisions, so.
Well, and as, like Mr. Mish, the way he acquired that property is the way he acquired the property is what initiated the address change.
Yeah, and
They
it's
lost the
all
property.
old Cedar Lake
Yeah.
and all old stuff, yeah.
Happens
So
a lot.
we do, I don't know what the story is behind this one, but, the rest of the homes follow the sequence except for this one, and it's 7417 instead of 7427.
Well,
Once that assignment on those addresses get made, it's in stone.
Yeah.
This is
so-
not uncommon, you'll find this all over.
So if the 7021 is not a problem, then probably he could use that.
With the 9021? No, I think that was the number, right? 9021, yeah.
So it was 9023 that those lots were part of that, and then it went to tax sale and they lost those lots. It did have address that was properly placed there.
Right. So Cheryl, are you saying the people over in your neighborhood don't want to change their addresses?
I don't think they need to,
Okay,
at
all right.
this point. We have very old homes in that area.
Okay.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Last call.
Nobody online?
Nobody online? Public comment is closed. Any other discussion?
The next meeting is June 19th
Meeting is June 19th
at 7 PM, not 6.
at 7 PM, not 6. Thank you, Bob. We're adjourned.